How you doing, Libra? It's Wes with Aurawest Tarot, and today we're going to be doing your March 2022 monthly spread. This is going to be a progressive spread that's going to go essentially start from now until the end of March. I'm going to draw upon five significant events that are going to happen during March. And when I say progressive, the events are going to start from now, the current, all the way to the end of March. Okay. Now, to save time, I have drawn this spread before I start recording this, and the reason is because I'm using three different decks, and there is a lot of cards on the board. On average, these reads are probably about 40 cards, sometimes up to 50 cards. It's a lot of stuff, and so I also have to try and obviously understand the messages before I even talk about it. And obviously, I don't want people sitting there for 5 minutes waiting for me to do that. Okay? So, obviously, every story can apply to everyone, and choices are always going to be an influence on the direction of things. You always have the power to obviously choose where you're going in life. Your particular spread is pretty balanced overall. It does have a little bit about love, but it's a lot about self-improvement and financial success and just kind of change in general. Okay, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so Libra, starting out with the current right now. It's suggesting right here, you probably, for many of you, are feeling like the Wounded Warrior in the romantic department. Two of Cups can talk about a meaningful relationship. There's a small possibility that for a portion of you, you might already be in a commitment of some sort, and for others of you, it's just a desire for one. But with the Nine of Wands there, it does suggest that you've been through a lot trying to basically find that. And that's honestly intuitively what I'm getting with this particular event here, is suggesting that you have been wanting love, maybe a new relationship really bad, and probably been putting a lot of work into trying to find it or make something happen and just haven't really been able to for a good portion of you. With clarifications about the Moon and the Judgment, this might suggest to you, Libra, that in some cases you're probably a little bit cautious to make a decision. For those of you who obviously been hurt a lot or found, lovers that were not very committal and stuff like that, or they cheated on you or stuff like that, that can put somebody obviously in a position where they don't really trust things that much, okay? But regardless in the outcome, it does suggest, nonetheless, that you are open to finding new love, okay? For some of you out there, might even be proactive about doing so, okay? It did clarify to the Five of Cups once again, correlating back to that Nine of Wands energy, suggesting that you've been through a lot of trying situations with probably past people or just a lot of disappointments. Five of Cups can literally just talk about being in the blues, being depressed, sometimes can even talk about just like feeling hopeless, or can just sometimes talk about being very down in the dumps about something not working out. Okay, Justice is right next to it, suggesting that you are trying to get balance out of the situation and try and make sense of it, and try and be fair in your approach. It is your card as well. Very interesting. So the positive here is that it does seem that for many of you are still open to wanting to find a meaningful connection. Okay. Your advice here is the Ace of Swords and the Hangman. This is probably suggesting to just, obviously take time to yourself to kind of reflect on what you obviously now know. Ace of Swords is a sense of clarity in some sense, and it does kind of, in my books, the way you're looking at it right now, it kind of says that you've been through a lot of events and problems or struggles, essentially, and you are kind of seeing the bigger picture at this point. Okay, but it also does, with the Hangman here, suggest maybe to obviously reflect on what else you don't know about the picture before you make a decision. Okay, I think in some cases you can only go so far to find the truth in some ways, and the only reason I'm saying that is because of the Judgment and the Moon. Kind of does indicate somebody that would probably be very cautious about people. So like if you're in your romantic life coming across lovers, you might be throwing potential partners off by being overly cautious or something like that. So it might be suggesting here, just be cautious about, how much time you dwell on things. There's a fine balance between that. Okay. Moving on here, Libra, I don't want to spend too much time talking on these things. There's a lot to get through, a lot of stuff here. So this is going to probably approach you around, I would say, the 10th of March, somewhere around there. Okay, it's going to be a bit of a progression into March. We do have Death card here. That is pretty significant. That does talk about ending of cycles and forward movement. Once again, we have the moon here, and we have the chariot. This does kind of indicate that you are riding on into the unknown, and it does suggest, once again, you're emotionally available. I think you probably don't have any sense of knowing what's coming, essentially, but at the same time, it's not stopping you from moving forwards. That is good. So I kind of like this energy here, Libra, because some of the signs kind of had like these wild roller coaster readings, and it seems like you're more taking a very controlled and structured, balanced approach to things. But whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because the death does signify that you're doing something right, because it's meaning that you're leaving old habits behind. So it does suggest transformation here, and even with the moon energy, you're still with the chariot, kind of pushing forwards. But I do have to mention that it can also talk about, once again, a possibility that you are cautious or worried about where things are going. So, you may not want to drive that chariot until you really know all the answers. And that might have also been talking about in the advice with the Hangman and the Ace of Swords, also that, don't maybe dwell too long. Because we don't, that's the thing about life, we don't always have all the answers, so it's like, don't let that stop you from making a bold change in your life, right? Your outcome for this particular situation is the Page of Swords. We have 3 of Pentacles, and we have the 10 of Pentacles. That's very nice. So for some of you, this could be some unexpected recognition. It could also be probably at your job, some kudos to you or something like that. Can also talk about that you might just get recognized for doing a fucking good job at something. You might catch an error or something like that and get recognition for it. Could also get a pay raise, a good paycheck, or maybe tax refund or something like that. 10 of Pentacles can sometimes talk about just sudden inheritance, wealth, and things like that. So money's going to look good around that time. So something, I don't know, something good is coming in as far as that. Okay? Page of Swords can generally talk about communication, new ideas, and things like that. This is going to also possibly talk about a new direction, because the Page of Swords does talk about, the intellectual side of things and throwing around the possibilities to some extent. And you did have the Chariot there as well. So I would almost wonder if you're starting a new chapter of life, one would think that you would be planning, right? You'd be thinking about where could it go? Okay. Your advice here does suggest you to please exercise Libra emotional control. Okay, you are coming from this wounded warrior state here, and 5 of Cups and disappointments and stuff like that. Don't get ahead of yourself, and also you've got double moon here, moon there, moon here. Don't allow your fears. The moon does talk about fears and phobias as well. Don't let fears hold you back. It's strongly saying, and Temperance is there, indicating that there is a sense, and it's going right to the King of Cups, suggesting, it's a mature energy, so it probably suggests that you do have the ability to have strong emotional control. It's in within you. Okay, but, once again, you don't have, unfortunately, that's life. You don't have all the answers to everything, and that's okay. But at the same time, you can't barricade yourself in your home and kind of be one of those OCD hypochondriacs that is like, I'm never going to go outside because it's like, everything could go wrong. It's like, yeah, of course. I mean, you could just fall off your chair and hurt yourself. I mean, you don't have the answers to everything, and that's what makes life interesting, is that sometimes, going into the unknown brings the best rewards. Okay? Sometimes you do need to take a bit of risk. Okay. Moving forwards now to about middle March, we have Knight of Pentacles going to the 7 of Wands. Once again, this is still showing here, Libra, that you are moving forwards, but it's suggesting you're doing so very cautiously, and the Knight is very slow energy. So I would think in some cases you are taking baby steps. You're trying to basically tiptoe into a new direction, but you nonetheless are moving forwards. So I like that. It does suggest that you're trying to maybe conquer fears for some of you, and just basically, once again, overcome challenges that you might have felt before. Once again, coming back to that moon energy. Okay. For others of you, this may be still, I don't really get a lot of emotional, relationship stuff here that's coming out, but this is primarily all focusing on career and finance and just self-development. But It's possible you could also be trying to basically better yourself so you can find a better connection. This could be going to the gym, trying to work out, just trying to basically be a better version of yourself. So, obviously you could attract someone better in your life. Okay. And you do have the Wheel of Fortune going to the Page of Wands right here. So this is really positive, indicating that it's almost like a faded new direction. Okay, so you've been manifesting this. So for those of you that have been desiring to basically go in a different direction, you just don't know how and stuff like that, it seems that you do figure it out at this point. And Wheel of Fortune is once again coming away from the Death card. Beautiful, suggesting that you do basically leave whatever old chapter behind and you start progressing in a new direction. Now, a lot of you, this is going to be different for everyone. Okay, there's a lot of different, not everybody's at the same stage in life. Some people are well ahead in their career and others are not. Okay, so it's going to be different for everyone. But just because it's a new chapter, I'm not saying that basically you have a new car, a new house, and just everything's radically different. It can be small changes. Like basically, for example, I was just completely out of shape and out of weight, and now I'm basically doing something about it. That's a new chapter. Finally embarking on that. Going to a different state when you've been in the same state for 15 years. Great. It's a new chapter. There's a lot of different things. So it's large or small, it doesn't matter. Whatever is going to advance you and to become a better and bigger version of yourself. Better version. Right? Your advice here, Libra, is suggesting... and I find this funny because you got Temperance right before this, and you have Temperance again, going to the Four of Swords this time. It basically can be a card that talk about, with the Four of Swords, fears, anxieties, and phobias and stuff like that, but it also heavily talks about taking time out for yourself, meditation, and you're going right to Temperance, a card of balance, taking time to basically make sure to make time for yourself as well as your career and all your responsibilities. So it's heavily saying here, don't allow yourself to go off the deep end into stress land. We've already talked about this. Okay, for many of you out there may be big stressors or warriors, not warriors, but like worry-minded people. Where am I ever going to find that new love? Is it ever going to come in for me? Am I ever going to basically make enough money? Am I ever going to basically be able to do this? Blah, blah, blah. It's one of those things. Is this ever going to be fair for me? I'm always going to be stuck in this. It's like one of those things. It's like, take time out for yourself. Rome wasn't built in a day. And you have to understand that. It's like conquering emotions and things like that have been chained to you for God knows how long. It's not an easy challenge to change that overnight. For real. I mean, you can't just like wish it away over and wake up one day and it's like, boom, I'm different. And, that's why I'm not a big believer in antidepressants and stuff like that. It's like, I was on those antidepressants for God knows how long in my past. And I'm like, what does that do? I mean, clearly you're in a state of mind for a reason. It's because you got yourself there. Okay? A lot of people, I had major anxiety, extreme panic anxiety, depersonalization, a whole bunch of stuff in my past. I was on all kinds of medications. And it's like, the way that I got myself out of that wasn't from any drug or counseling or something. I did it myself. That's the reality. And I'm a big believer of that. Okay, I'm not docking anyone that's on any of those medications. I'm just saying that was my personal journey. Okay. Moving on here. So we already talked about that. Moving on here. So this is going to be towards the last portion of March, getting close to the end there. So we're probably say the 21st, 22nd, somewhere around there. There is going to be a lot of reaping what you sow, which is not a bad thing. It's going to be basically your harvest is coming in. But at the same time, this card also talks about evaluation, about what has and hasn't worked for you. I've talked about the Seven of Pentacles in so many different ways in so many different readings, and it's just loosely what I'm trying to say here is it's evaluating, this woman right here, you can see she's looking at the crops and everything for a reason. She's basically evaluating if we imagine those pentacles as apples, she's pretty much saying, are those apples, the ones I'm harvesting, the ones I planted this tree, it grew, it bared the fruit, is the fruit delicious? Is it the kind of apple that I would want to bake with or sell in the market? Is it something that I'm proud of? But the question is, if you have sour apples or they're rotten apples and it's a crappy crop or something like that, then would you want to basically replant that? And the answer is probably going to be no. Okay, so you have Eight of Cups going right through it, walking away from emotionally unfulfilling situations or abandoning It's an abandonment card, essentially. So this can talk about that there's going to be things that you're going to find that probably in order to basically have the success you want, you're going to have to basically leave behind. That's just life. I mean, there's just certain situations that just, unfortunately, undeniably waste your time. So if you have to, sometimes you're going to have to basically just move in a different direction, and it may be uncomfortable, but you already have the death and the wheel of fortune here suggesting that's almost like, yeah, you're going to be going through those struggles and stuff like that. But at the same time, it is a powerful combination because it does suggest here that you are moving away from that. And I do get a sense that with the 8 of Wands going to the Page of Swords here, that in your outcome you are making forward progress. Once again, things are picking up here. Wands energy is very fast. So we're going from that with that Knight now into Wands energy. So there is forward movement here. So, and this can talk about new beginnings as to some extent. It's not really Pentacles energy, but it does talk about possibilities, ideas, being very vigorous with your mind about where I could go, what I could do, where can I invest my time. So I think you're going to get a confidence boost here around this time, Libra, and things will be going good for you. As far as money is concerned, around this time and before even, things are going to be looking good. As far as money, I think you're just going to be okay, like comfortable. Okay. Your advice here is the 9 of Swords, suggesting don't. Once again, I don't know why you have so much of this, Libra, but it's just so dominant, like heavily. It's just suggesting here, don't allow yourself to basically start becoming overstressed, overworked, burnout. This is like the third. I mean, what is this? Like the third or fourth time now that you're getting this. It's like it's constantly cautioning you to slow down, take time for yourself, take time, balance. Okay, so there's really nothing more for me to say other than that. Okay, so the universe, if there's one thing you take away from this reading is slow down. You're going to do it. Okay, you're going to get there. Just keep moving forwards. My balance works. All right. Now towards the last portion of March, we have the Knight of Swords and the High Priestess. This is one of the fastest knights in the deck, and it's talking about massive change with ideas. And remember I was talking about this Page of Swords? You've graduated from the Page to the Knight, suggesting now you're not just playing around with ideas, you're putting them into action. And the High Priestess does suggest you're following your intuition, which is fantastic. Okay, but the outcome does suggest here that you're in Hangman energy. Still, there is a degree of contemplation and doubt. Can be talking about feeling stuck. Going to the World card here, Libra. So this might talk about, in some cases, that there's a part of you still doubting your ability to make something happen. This is a card of success, achievement, completion, graduation, the finality, which is, we went from Death to Wheel of Fortune to World card. Beautiful. Okay, but I don't really see it still as a bad thing. I think it could just be taking time, getting a new angle in things, looking at the possibilities. That's another thing. Hangman can just be, you might have a lot of people that might just look at you upside down, look at things from a completely, radically different direction. Okay, so people may not understand why you're doing what you're doing, and you might be like, I don't have to explain it. I don't really have to. It's like I'm going in my own direction. So that looks really positive. And 3 of Pentacles here suggests also forward movement. Can talk about financial success. So for those of you involved in business, entrepreneurship, and all that kind of stuff, that is looking very good. You probably can expect once again money from the 15th of March going forward. It's just going to look good. Nonetheless, I don't really see anything negative about that. Your advice for this particular situation here, Libra, is suggesting to please, for God's sakes. Now it's going from all this balance, take time out yourself, and now it's literally telling you, go to the bar, go and do something, go and have some fun, go and celebrate, enjoy yourself. 3 of Cups is a celebration card. Have fun, go and mingle, go and enjoy yourself. Do something like that. Okay. I also took a peek into April for you, and it is showing Queen of Wands and Justice, signifying that you have found balance. Going into April, you'll be finding a lot of balance and a huge amount of Wands energy with the Queen of Wands. So it's a very active queen, does a lot of stuff, making moves. So you're kind of going from this transition. For those of you who have been in kind of the delays or feeling like life's been going slow, things are going to pick up for you quite a bit. There's going to be a lot of mental tension and kind of doubting and stuff like that, but you are going to overcome it, and it's going to be a new chapter in your life. Love it, Libra. So that's what I got for you. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I think March is going to be a very transforming period for you, Libra. and a lot of possibilities. Where's it going to go? Can't wait to see March or April for you. But anyways, if you enjoyed this content, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.